India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
Hello, I am Tanya and you are watching Courts Roundup. In this program, we bring you the latest legal news and details of court proceedings. Before we begin, here are the headlines. Supreme Court rules Ayush doctors can prescribe government-approved medicines as immunity boosters but not as cure for COVID-19. Supreme Court slams UP police for bogus probe into murder case involving BJP MLA. It constitutes SIT to conduct further probe. In the actor sexual assault case, Supreme Court dismisses Kerala government plea for change of trial judge. It says mere allegation of apprehension of bias is not enough. The Punjab and Haryana High Court directs DGP Haryana to ensure policeman not giving CCTV footage of crime liable to face penal action.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.
The Supreme Court has held that qualified Ayush doctors are allowed to prescribe government-approved tablets or mixtures as immunity boosters for treatment of COVID-19 but cannot prescribe or advertise them as a cure for COVID-19.
The Supreme Court has refused to interfere with the Kerala High Court order prohibiting Ayush doctor from advertising or prescribing medicines as cure for COVID-19. A three-judge bench of Justices Ashok Bhushan, Subhash Reddy and M.R. Shah stated that top court has declined to modify the High Court order as sought. The judgment was delivered on an appeal preferred by the Dr. A.K.B. Sadbhavna Mission School of Homeopharmacy against an order passed by the Kerala High Court on 21st August. The High Court order prohibited Ayush doctors from advertising or prescribing medicines as cure for COVID-19, except for the purpose of boosting immunity as per the centre's advisory issued on 6 March 2020. The High Court had recorded that practices such as homeopathy, Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani and naturopathy can be used to enhance immunity to reduce the risk of COVID-19. The High Court had also given liberty to the state authorities to take appropriate action under the provisions of the Disaster Management Act 2015 against errant Ayush practitioners. During the course of the hearings before the Supreme Court, the central government had submitted that homeopathic medicine practitioners can prescribe treatment to COVID-19 positive patients as a preventive measure and that such a prescription cannot be termed as a cure. The Ministry of Ayush had submitted that it decided to augment and strengthen the COVID medical response of the country by using the traditional healthcare system of the country, which included Ayurvedic practices, homeopathy practices as well as Unani practices. Considering the current unprecedented and unforeseen precarious situation, the health system preparedness of the country and the anticipated patient-doctor ratio of the country. The ministry had further suggested that drugs which can be prescribed by homeopathic medical practitioners are for preventive and prophylactic use for symptom management of COVID-19 like illness and add-on interventions to conventional care. Bureau Report.
The Supreme Court has slammed Uttar Pradesh police for bogus probe in the murder case involving BJP MLA. The court constitutes a special investigating team for a fresh probe.
The Supreme Court has censored the Uttar Pradesh police for the lackadaisical manner in which inquiry into a murder case involving BJP MLA Sushil Singh as an accused was carried out. A bench of justices Rohinton Nariman, Naveen Sinha and Krishna Murari termed the investigation a sham designed to conceal more than to investigate. It therefore constituted a special investigating team under IPS officer Satyarth Anirudh Pankaj IPS to probe the case. The bench was hearing a petition filed by the victim's son Amarnath Chaubey challenging the rejection of his plea by the Allahabad High Court for transfer of the case to CBI. The deceased Ram Bihar Chaubey was shot at in his village Shrikantpur in Varanasi on December 2015. The police in its case diary noting had recorded that as per the police informer, Singh had paid a token of 5 lakh rupees to the assailant who shot at the petitioner's father and that political rivalry existed between the deceased and Singh. Later closure report was filed in which it was stated that there was no concrete evidence against Singh for the offence of the conspiracy. The petitioner had alleged that the investigation was being tampered with by changing 8 investigating officers during the probe. It was also submitted that the present station house officer at the police station Chaubeypur, Varanasi was trying to eliminate and destroy all evidence against the said accused. It was submitted that Singh was associated with various high political offices in the state and that he had 24 criminal cases, including 6 murder cases pending against him. Since the affidavit filed by Director General of Police was not satisfactory, the Supreme Court had on 26 October 2020 called for the closure report of the case. The court in its judgment observed that the report simply stated that there was no concrete evidence of conspiracy against BJP MLA Sushil Singh and that the informant had not placed any material before the police director or indirect with regard to the conspiracy. The court partly set aside the closure report with respect to those accused against whom closure report was filed, including Singh. The court appointed a team headed by Satyarth Anirudh Pankaj to conduct further probe. Pankaj can choose his own team of officers and the probe should be completed within 2 months, the order said. Bureau Report.
In the actor sexual assault case involving Malayalam film actor Dileep, the Supreme Court has dismissed Kerala government plea for change of trial judge. The court said that transfer of a criminal case on the ground of judicial bias, mere allegation of apprehension of bias is not enough.
The Supreme Court has dismissed the special leave petition filed by the state of Kerala seeking the change of the judge holding trial in the 2017 actor sexual assault case in which prominent Malayalam film actor Dileep is accused as a conspirator. Dismissing Kerala's petition, a bench headed by Justice A.M. Khanwilkar upheld the Kerala High Court judgment which rejected the transfer petition of the prosecution and victim. The bench remarked that the allegation of bias raised by the state government against the trial judge are unwarranted and observed that such allegation will affect the morale of the judge. The bench, also comprising Justice B.R. Gawai and Krishna Murari, also remarked that the state government should not have made such allegations against the court. The prosecution had sought for the transfer of the case alleging bias on the part of the judge. Later, the victim too approached the High Court supporting the prosecution plea for transfer. The victim alleged that the judge allowed her to be harassed and humiliated during the cross-examination by defense lawyers. According to the victim, the judge was hostile and was not sensitive to her trauma as a survivor of a horrific sexual crime. On 20th November, a single bench of the Kerala High Court had dismissed the petition filed by the prosecution and the victim. The transfer plea stated that the trial court has not taken a decision on the application moved by the prosecution seeking to cancel the bail of Dileep on the ground of intimidating the victim and other witness in the case. Prominent Malayalam film actor Dileep is accused of hatching the criminal conspiracy behind the abduction and the sexual assault of the victim. Also an actor in a moving vehicle in the outskirts of Cochin city in February 2017. Dismissing the prosecution's application to stop the trial last month, Special Judge Hani M. Varghese instructed the investigation officer to take steps to resume the trial from 3rd November to complete the proceeding within the time frame set by the Supreme Court. Bureau Report.
The Supreme Court has issued directions to states and union territories for education of children in child care institutions and children restored to families or foster parents. The direction relates to District Child Care Protection Units or DCPU, which tells them to provide necessary infrastructure.
The Supreme Court has passed a slew of directions to states and union territories to cater to the educational needs of children in child care institutions or CCI and children who have been restored to families from child care institutions. A bench comprising Justices L. Nageshwar Rao, Hemant Gupta and Ajay Rastogi issued directions in the suo motu case in the contagion of COVID-19 virus in children protection homes after accepting the suggestions made by amicus curiae advocate Gaurav Agarwal. The directions are: provide necessary infrastructure, books, stationery, printers and other equipment necessary for online classes on the basis of recommendations made by the District Child Care Protection Unit within a period of 30 days. State government shall ensure that required teachers are also made available for teaching the children in various CCIs. Extra classes, if necessary, should also be taken for children to prepare them in final examination to be held next year. The DCPU shall inform the district legal service authorities about the progress made in the infrastructure being provided to the CCI and the functioning of online classes periodically once in a month. The DCPU are also directed to make an assessment of children who have been restored to parents, guardians, foster homes by taking the assistance of other statutory bodies. On recommendation made by DCPUs, the concerned authorities of the state are directed to release 2,000 per month to parents, guardians of children in distress, which shall be used only for the purpose of children's education. The states have been given liberty to approach the amicus curiae if clarifications are felt needed with respect to the directions. The court also mentioned the best practices followed by states of Telangana, Tripura and Karnataka with respect to education of children in childcare homes as submitted by the amicus. The court noted in the order that none of the state governments objected to the suggestions made by the amicus. The court also directed the National Council for the Protection of Children's Rights to monitor the implementation of guidelines as per the mandate under Section 109 of the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015. Bureau Report.
For more updates, we have Advocate Shivam Sharma with us. Shivam, tell us about the court proceedings in this case.
Yes, in this case, the court has passed a direction to provide necessary infrastructure necessary for online classes within a period of 30 days. Moreover, state government shall ensure that required number of teachers are also made available for teaching the students in various cities. Extra classes should be taken for the children. The court has directed the DCPU to make an assessment of children who have been restored to parents by testing the assistance of other statutory bodies. The court, while passing this direction, also mentioned the best practice followed by the state of Telangana, Tripura and Karnataka with respect to education of children in child care homes. The court has also directed the National Council for the Protection of Children's Rights to monitor the implementation of the guidelines as per its mandate under Section 109 of the Juvenile Justice Act 2015. Yes.
Thank you, Shivam, for joining us. The Supreme Court has disposed of SCBA's erstwhile Secretary Ashok Arora's plea against his suspension as having become infructuous, while observing that all questions of law shall remain open. With feuding leaders of the Supreme Court Bar Association consenting for a settlement, the Delhi High Court had on Friday closed a suit filed by Arora, challenging the decision of the SCBA to suspend him from the post of Secretary. observing that when the bar gets divided, it also weakens the bench, which gets strength from lawyers. The suit stands withdrawn. So this SLP is disposed of as infructuous, leaving the questions of law open. The bench recorded in its order. The Supreme Court had last Thursday adjourned the special leave petition filed by Arora against the Delhi High Court order, wherein his plea seeking a stay on his suspension was SCBA on Friday. Justice Rajiv Shakder of the Delhi High Court passed an order putting an end to the proceedings after both the parties, Arora and SCBA President Dushyant Dev, consented for a settlement. When you get divided like this, it does not go down well in the bar, the judge said. The court also said that Arora's suspension will not come in the way of his participation in fresh elections. Arora said he will withdraw all legal proceedings initiated by regarding his suspension. The Bar Council of Delhi and the Coordination Committee of all bar associations of Delhi have proposed that all the disputes under the Farmers Act be adjudicated only by a special court presided by an additional district judge instead of an executive authority. It also proposed that the disputes be entertained by a special court following a petition filed on a nominal court fee of ₹20. Their concern is mainly on the issue of adjudication of the disputes of the farmers by the executive. The two lawyers' bodies said, stating that giving adjudicatory powers to SDMs or ADMs is deplorable and goes against the root of the constitution. It was also asserted that the conciliatory board under the act should be presided by an additional district judge and not a tehsildar. A release stating that above was issued by the Bar Council of Delhi and the Coordination Committee. The demand to withdraw the new farm laws was reiterated in the release with the hope that rights of farmers to get justice from courts would be restored. Some of the other points for consultation proposed in the release are: MSP or minimum sale price should be included in the act itself instead of being a verbal assurance. Private traders should purchase the crops 5% above MSP and the amount should be paid through RTGS at the time of procurement. Penal clause be included for providing less amount or less measurement. There should be compulsory insurance by the government on every crop. While hearing two bail applications filed respect of death of two young boys, namely Zakir and Ashfaq Hussain, during Delhi riots, Additional Sessions Judge Vinod Yadav of the Karkarjuma Court said, "It does not appeal to senses that applicant, being a Muslim, would rub shoulder to shoulder in such a surcharged atmosphere with persons of Hindu community and that they would beat a Muslim boy to death." The accused was granted bail in two separate cases relating to the Northeast Delhi riots. Special Public Prosecutor for the state contended that the applicant was part of the unlawful assembly or riotous mob that had inflicted severe injuries upon deceased Zakir and Ashfaq Hussain, which ultimately resulted in their death. In this backdrop, the court said that prima facie, the applicant couldn't be said to be a part of unlawful assembly or share common object with them on the date of incident. Furthermore, the court also said that once the applicant is out of the ambit of Section 149 IPC, then he cannot be fastened with the liability under Section 302 IPC. While noting that the applicant was not visible in any CCTV video or footage, the court observed that the eyewitnesses have not specifically spelled out the role of applicant in the matter and their statements prima facie appears to general one. Considering the facts and circumstances of the case in totality, applicant Arif was admitted to bail. Hindutva is not a religion. An insult to it cannot be regarded as a religious insult, submitted Advocate Dr. Abhinav Chandrachud before the Karnataka High Court while appearing in a case seeking quashing of FIR. He submitted that Hindutva can be considered to be a philosophy, a way of life, or even predominant ideology of political party. When somebody insults, even perhaps uses abusive language against Hindutva, that is not an insult to a religion but insult to a political philosophy. Thus, an offence under Section 295A of the Indian Penal Code is not made out, submitted Dr. Chandrachud. He made these submissions while seeking to quash two first information reports registered against a law student who is booked for allegedly holding an objectionable placard during a protest held against the Citizenship Amendment Act at the Government Arts College, Bengaluru. Chandrachud submitted that mere insult to one community will not attract the offence under Section 153A IPC, he argued. A bench of Justice Suraj Govindraj hearing the case posted the matter for further hearing on December 21. After Dr. Chandrachud sought a short adjournment to place on record the citations relied by him to argue his case. The prosecution also sought for a short accommodation to respond to the plea. The FIR was based on complaint registered by the principal of the college, who alleged that a few students had unlawfully assembled in the college premises in December 2019 to stage a protest against CAA. The Madras High Court has issued notice in a PIL moved for the expeditious commencement of the Southern Bench of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, that is NCLAT, at Chennai, in line with Supreme Court's 2019 order in the Swiss Ribbons case. The petitioner pointed out before the bench that NCLAT bench is meant to cover the 5 southern states of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Additional Solicitor General assured the court that he would obtain instructions in the matter if some time is given and urged the court to adjourn the matter to January. He cited the COVID-19 pandemic as a possible reason for the delay. He submitted that the notification for setting up the Chennai bench was issued in March 2020, following which efforts were made to find a location for the bench. Advocate Murthy told the court that space was also stated to have been landed over to the Deputy Registrar for the Chennai bench and the construction or renovation work was over. Despite this, there has been no commencement in the functioning of the NCLAT Chennai. He argued for the petitioner. In the course of his submissions, Advocate Murthy raised concern over how not all clients in company matters are well off. Small-time companies from the southern states may find it difficult to approach the NCLAT bench at Delhi. He submitted. As an aside, the High Court orally observed that this issue concerns not only the tribunal but also the Supreme Court. These observations would also apply to Supreme Court, the bench remarked. The Punjab and Haryana High Court last week directed the DGP, Haryana State, to ensure that in every case where any CCTV footage is claimed to be available, copies of the same are obtained from the source along with requisite certificate under Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act 1872. The court issued the direction to the Director General of Police, Haryana State, and was asked to issue appropriate instructions to commissioners and superintendents of police to exercise effective supervision over the officials posted in their respective districts. The direction was issued by the bench while hearing a regular bail plea filed by one Rahul in a case registered against him. Keeping in view the facts and circumstance of the case, nature of accusation against the petitioner, the fact that the case involves disputed question as to the person who caused grievous injury with sharp-edged weapon to injured Anil Kumar, the court extended the concession of the regular bail to the petitioner. However, the court observed that in the instant case, the investigating officer did not obtain copy of CCTV coverage of the occurrence in the camera installed in the vicinity of the place of occurrence with requisite certificate under Section 65B of the Evidence Act 1872. That's all for Courts Roundup today. Keep watching APN.
India Legal presents Courts Roundup.